Hi there, everybody. My name is Kate, and welcome to my channel. Rebranded, it's Fire Course Academy. Used to be known as Trinergy Awakens Naturally. Welcome, regardless. I wanted to bring something up. I just read a comment that someone had made on another video, and I wanted to throw this out there as a teaching tool. Excuse me. I wouldn't bother to comment back to this person because I don't know them, and it's meant to be a gentle teaching, so could come across quite differently if I were to just be typing out stuff like I know this person and have some business to, make myself a part of in their world. However, it does strike up the conversation to put it this way, more generically, excuse me, that the video had to do with, walking into a room and people respecting this person. It was about somebody that this person walked into the room and they carried such a presence that people just understood immediately that that was the leadership coming in. They were identifying this person and of respect and respectability, etc. That was the nature of the video, talking about a very specific leader, excuse me, for the teaching tools. And what the person in the comment section had written was, I hope that people will respect me, when I enter a room. And what I want to put out there is that comment right there guarantees I already know how that's going to go, unless there's some different thought that's placed in that the next time you enter a room. That if you're hoping that a person, a situation will respect you, you've already guaranteed that it doesn't, it won't, it will not. You've already guaranteed, because there's room. You've given somebody the option and you've left the room open for them to decide for themselves whether or not they will. Being respected starts with, I respect me. And if I enter a space where there's something coming at me that is in direct violation to, self-respect, that I'm not doing it to me, I wouldn't do it to you, then I'm not going to stand here with you while you do. The respect part would be, oh yeah, why would I want to hang out in a place wanting to convince that it needs to respect me? Oh no. The respect is already guaranteed, because I walk in expecting I'm always going to respect me. And how you behave in the presence of me, that's up to you and what you decide, not my business. However, my business is about my respect, which is guaranteed. I'm going to walk into a room already being highly respected by me, and I'm the one that will decide how long I'm going to put up with anybody else's disrespect of me, their disregard of me. Now, does that mean I walk into my local grocery store like I'm royalty and expect everybody to lay out the red carpet for me? No. However, it means that I walk into the grocery store and I expect I'm not going to be run over by somebody behind me who wants to get around me, and I'm in the way and they're grumbling and nasty and pushing with their behavior, but don't have the nerve to kindly say, excuse me, may I step around you? They'd rather make it something very personal and disrespectful, because they don't respect themselves. So rather than help that person continue this really toxic and terrible game, I'm gonna decide, yeah, I don't deal with that. And ma'am, is there a problem? Would you like to go around me? Or, instead of just comply, which is, I hoped that they would respect me in the grocery store, but that person just ran me over trying to get through the grapes, that's already guaranteeing that outcome in that way. Or I could just sit there and argue, which continues the game, and both Karens walk away, or both Kens walk away, both deeply conflicted people about what respect is. Those two people walk away not understanding, not resolving the disrespect issue, and both walking in, leaving that in the hands of the other person who has just violated their respect boundary, whatever it is, wherever it is. And unless we have self-respect, we're not going to be able to demand that somebody out here have some certain level of respect for us. Self-respect means I tolerate people who speak to me respectfully, kindly. They're not screaming at me. They're certainly not physically aggressive. They're not lying to me. They're not swindling me. Those are the people that I offer the greatest respect for, are those that are not doing that. And those that I, withdraw my respect. My respect for myself is enough that I can identify that stuff. I don't play in that commodity at all anymore. I don't play with people who do. That's your business. not my business. However, my self-respect is going to dictate the level of respect, that how long am I going to stand here and let somebody scream at me or physically come at me or threaten me or violate my personal safety. And that to me is where respect gets in, is that somebody can bring all the conflict and the heat they want. It's fine with me. Bring the heat. I'm a heat bringer myself. We can dance around in the sauna for a minute. However, it's going to remain respectful. This is a respectful table and negotiations, and it can get fiery. However, fiery out of control starts massive wildfires, and we need this one to be more in a chimenea. Let's keep this one right here where we're going to channel that, funnel that, and actually fix it. So when people already aren't there on that stuff, oh, you are at a level of disrespect that I'm already not going to yield a whole lot more than just the basic common decency of hello and move on. And then quickly turn that into the level of respect necessary that, hey, pardon me, you're stepping on my shadow everywhere, or this isn't working, or whatever, and step that into the level of, meeting that resistance with respect, absolutely, and integrity. However, the level of resistance it takes to move that off of me, that's not a wish or a hope or a prayer. When I walk into a room, if somebody's going to throw some hate my direction, or it's going to be that kind of a tangle, do I respect myself enough to leave that environment? Or am I going to call that okay because that's my boss or my mom or my spouse or some other person who holds sway over me for some reason? If I respect and truly understand how I'm going to enter a room without being victimized again, probably need to go home and figure out why I'm leaving it in the hands of a complete stranger, or, heaven forbid, a known offender to suddenly, hopefully, begin respecting me. That already says a whole lot in that commentary, and it's a shame, that we do put ourselves in these positions because it's a languaging thing. However, languaging is what builds in our beliefs, and hoping is basically useless. Hoping is I hoped for a really great outcome, or I hope there will be a great outcome. That's really kind of a weenie way of staying positive in a poverty mindset, a lack mentality. That's how we can sound like we're being positive and, we're holding out for the best. And spiritual mechanics is such that, oh no, you have to deeply commit to, I'm deeply committed to this. And when we're deeply committed to, this is my walk, my journey, and I walk into rooms respecting me. And people respond to that. They either respect you for being a respectable individual and you know who you are when you walk in, or they have some offense to it. The people that have offense, why would I want to stand there and argue my position anyway? That would be like the general talking to the buck private who's in remedial education, can't get through basic training, and is on his third, rollback. Why would the general do that? And that's not a snotty thing. That's we got lower echelon cadre that handles that. That's not my department. Bye-bye. And, the general, in my understanding, would not necessarily bop that buck private nobody, wouldn't necessarily bop that kid on the head for being disrespectful. However, it would take an immediate change in course if they weren't really quickly moved off of, excuse me, do you know who you're talking to? And that's when you say, oh yeah, this is not my department. I'm going to remove this, and no, take this off to wherever it goes. And that's where I leave the spiritual mechanics to remove this crap, because I'm not playing with this. This is something that's in the matrix that I don't really do anymore. That's an Agent Smith. Feel free to let that Agent Smith be disrespectful, hateful, and spitting, weird stuff from their eyeballs. It's fine. That's what you would expect of Agent Smith. It's okay. However, Neo and Trinity don't play with Agent Smith. They handle and do their job with Agent Smith, and they keep it moving. And they certainly don't sit there and get into a respect thing, bumping chests. We're not here for that. So anyway, please don't walk into any room anywhere hoping and praying for the best. Commit deeply to, I'm either walking in with, I'm not sure how I'll react if I do not, receive what I want, or I'm walking in and I'm respecting me, and this is just the way it's going to play because I feel that confident with my divinity, or wherever you are in between. However, just leaving it to the other side to decide whether or not they're going to respect you. Respect yourself enough to know that, there's a threshold for how much respect is going to be flying around weird around me. So let me be guaranteeing that I'm already very respected when I walk into a room, because my self-respect is going to set the tone. And if it's not met with me in a reasonable way, then me and my respectability, we leave this disrespectful environment immediately and work out all the issues of why we would not be able to do that. What in my respect issue am I having that would leave me tied and anchored to something that's going to disrespect me and remind me on the regular that I hope it's going to get better one day? It won't. It will not. They hope that you'll keep coming back to play with just that many times of asking, is it going to be better today? They hope that you'll come back and play that game with them, because that's a fun cycle for people who enjoy doing that kind of thing. And if it's not really your thing, I really wouldn't leave it in the hands of somebody who's over there enjoying this crap to decide whether or not today's the day that you get what you need to out of life. Go grab it with gusto, because it's yours, not somebody else's. However, somebody else telling you that you can't have it, shouldn't have it, or they hope that, the respect that you need to get it isn't there. Oh no, you're not going to hope your way into having that respect. You're going to access that hope and leave that garbage over there with the rest of the mess, is my suggestion to you. Do as you will. Enjoy your day. Take care of yourself no matter what part of the day you're in, and remember to get within your skin, because you're divine. It's absolutely fine and is the pure essence of what respectability is. It's most sacred. It is the sacred seed within you. And when you really understand that, believe that, and have trust and faith and respect, sacred reverence for that, it lives in you. You have such a sacred reverence for yourself that 1111, the last thing you do is allow somebody to set a lower standard than that for you. And that would not allow you to return the favor on that. You just simply step away and say, yeah, thank you. Try that somewhere else. 1122, some other day, with somebody else who wants to play. That's not me. Thank you. So anyway, take care, and I'll see you again next time. Mwah. Bye, friends.